Well, my parents moved here in the 50s. And one of the things growing up in this area, we saw, first of all, it was very difficult back then to even communicate with doctors because it was long distance to call any place other than Darlington. So to call, if you needed to speak to a specialist in Florence, it was long distance, just a phone call. The next thing is that someone having a heart attack or stroke, for sure they were going to die because there was no ambulatory service here. There was no medical facility. So it was very crucial during those times. And I remember the pain in the community of hearing if we could have just gotten him to the doctor soon enough, or we could have just gotten her to the doctor soon enough. So those things we grew up hearing, and my parents seeing how it was very painful. You would see a child come to school one day and the next day they're coming to school because their mother or their father had died because they'd had a heart attack and they couldn't get them to the doctor soon enough. So that was very necessary thing for my parents and really for the whole community. And no one back then even dreamed of a medical facility being here. The hope was just that they would be able to communicate with the doctor and maybe at some point get some ambulatory service out here. So the idea of getting a medical facility out here, when that became a thought past a dream and the opportunity to do it, then of course it was very humbling for her to be asked, but she would not have dared not to have stepped in to take that on, as many others took that on also. I think my mother would constantly be fighting for better health care. I don't think she would ever be satisfied. That would be a constant, ongoing thing for her, because her desire was also to see people treated with dignity, with decency, and with the best health care that they could get. So it's not enough just to have a facility here, but for them to be treated with dignity, not just as a number, but that person is recognized, that they know that they are valued as a human being and that they matter. Mom was doing the fact-finding for the medical facility and trying to find out how do you go about getting the financial support. She was sent up to Washington, D.C. and she called and told me, because I was living in the D.C. area at the time, so she called and told me she was coming up. And I said, oh wow, we're gonna have some fun. And she says, no, I'm coming up for a meeting. And I was like, rats. And so, but she was coming up to get information on how to get the process started for the medical facility here in Society Hill. And so afterwards, she came to my house and spent a few days, and she was all excited because she had gotten the information and she was going to be bringing it back, and they would be able to come together and see how to go about getting the funding, getting the paperwork done, and getting it in, and getting the federal funding that was needed to get the ball rolling. It was exciting because she was all excited about it, that healthcare would be coming to this community. I know that healthcare all over, there is a battle and a fight, and hopefully we will win the battle. Amen. Well, I think she would be honored, but I know my mom was the type person, she did not want a fuss made about her, because for her it was about the people and what the people needed, what the community needed. So it was not about putting her name on a building. It was about what the people needed. I was thinking the other day, there was a song that used to be sung a lot at funerals, and the song was, "May the works I've done speak for me." And the works that my mother did speaks for her. They continue to speak for her. So whether her name is on a building or not on a building, it still speaks. And I even said to one of my youngest grandson today, I said, you know, whether your great-grandma's name is on a building or not, I said, we'll tell you the story. We'll tell you the story about your great-grandmother and your great-great-grandmother. We'll tell our history, because nobody can wipe our history off the map. Nobody. Nobody. Whether my mother's name is on the building or not, nobody can wipe her name off. God put her on this earth. She served how God wanted her to serve, and her name will live forever through the memory of her family.